Okay, Barcelona have done the inevitable and sacked Ronald Koeman. This follows on from their loss to Rayo Vallecano yesterday. The news broke late last night, early this morning. And of course, the hours that I work, I'm still in my work uniform. I've just got in from work. I just, we pulled up for a break near the end of my shift. Put the phone on, and Barcelona have sacked Koeman. Look, they've lost 3 out of the last 4. The last time they lost on this kind of losing ratio to win ratio, Terry Venables was the manager. So they are in trouble. But is it on Ronald Koeman? Well, look, behind the scenes, you've had a very hotly contested and disruptive presidential election. Bartomeu lost. Laporta's come in. Bartomeu was the man who signed Koeman as manager. Laporta, as soon as he became president, made no secret of the fact he didn't want Ronald Koeman there. They had a very fractious, tenuous relationship. Yes, he managed to encourage Messi to stay a further season. Obviously, the Messi saga, which was rather messy. He wanted to force a free transfer. He believed he has a clause in his contract. The club were like, no, you can't. We want, I think it was like 400 million for you. He's not worth 400 million, not at his age. Superstar player that he is. He eventually leaves at the end of last season to go to PSG. So they've lost their talisman, they've lost their captain. PK is obviously the last one left of the golden generation, in my opinion. They've never really replaced Iniesta, Mascherano, Xavi, David Villa. I mean, Suarez went for €4 million, which was an absolute joke and a bargain. And Atletico rubbed their hands with Glee, and Diego Simeone was a very happy manager to get him signed to his books and win La Liga with him, with the top goal scorer in the league. Yeah, that says it all, really, doesn't it? You could argue the Barcelona financial difficulties and mismanagement go way back. Pre the Neymar transfer to PSG for $250 million. That alone, now looking back at it, was the warning signs were there 4 years ago that there was financial problems. We just chose not to believe it. We just chose that PSG were throwing money around because they're owned by the Qatari government. But trying to take regular season games to the US, which went down like a lead balloon, really. That didn't go down well with the Spanish FA and the players and the fans. They have mismanaged financially a very long time, this club. And that is the board. That is the president and the board. Whoever's president, they're still part of the board at some point. They're part of the club hierarchy. This is a long-standing problem that goes back a long time. This hasn't happened just because of COVID. This is a long-standing issue where they've overspent, overextended themselves, and COVID has exposed that. But I wouldn't have thought they could have gone on much longer without COVID before the financial problems really hit. It just sped up the increase in their financial difficulty. I've always argued that the money bubble in football has got to burst at some point, and it really has massively imploded for several clubs. And another thing that isn't helping Barcelona's cause is they're still sticking to this European Super League idea alongside Real Madrid and Juventus, even though it's plain and clear that it's not going to get off the ground. And Real Madrid are also in deep financial difficulty themselves. Juventus, there's problems there. They're starting to decline a little bit. Their golden era in Italian football is starting to come to an end. They're being challenged by Inter, AC Milan, Atalanta, Sassuolo, Roma, Lazio. All these clubs at Napoli, they're all starting to chisel away at Juventus's stranglehold on Serie A for the best part of a decade. And Atletico Madrid have shown on a far smaller budget that they are a class outfit that can compete and out-compete Barcelona and Real Madrid, as they proved last season. Real Sociedad, won the Copa del Rey, a delayed Copa del Rey, which they held for a couple of weeks, and then Barcelona win this last season's Copa del Rey. But other teams are starting to take chip away at the edifice that is Barcelona and Real Madrid. They're not invincible. They're not what people believe they are, which, they've been mismanaged. They're very toxic work environments. There's a lot of ex-players who've mentioned that it's not a healthy dressing room. There's a lot of division there. The fact that they put all their eggs in one basket with Messi towards the end rather than have the squad depth they needed. I mean, they churn out youth talent, but and they end up all over the continent, playing at various leagues and levels. But that's another part of the problem. They're going to have to rely on this youth talent now. They're going to have to either bring these players back from loan, wherever they are, or rebuild the squad from within completely because they've got no money to compete in the transfer market. And some of the get-out clauses they're asking for players, I forget the young player, he's 18, 19 years old. His buyout clause is 700 million euros, which no club, no matter how wealthy, is going to spend that money because it's a flagrant breach of financial fair play. So Barcelona are getting desperate. And Xavi, okay, he's linked with the role. He's been coaching in Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula. He's not been coaching at a high level in the sense of European League. He's favourite to replace Ronald Koeman. But I always say this, Ronald Koeman as a player, stellar career. Absolutely one of the best sweepers or offensively minded defenders of his generation. There is no doubt on his qualities as a player. But I always say this, great players don't always make great managers. As I said in my video about Walter Smith yesterday, very, very mediocre playing career in Scotland. But his management career, he won 20 trophies as a manager. Yes, Scottish League, admittedly, and that is obviously a lower quality than other leagues, but he managed to coach his national side, and he got a gig in the Premier League for 4 seasons with Everton. And he was held in such high regard, even Celtic fans were leaving jerseys outside Ibrox yesterday. That tells you how high regard Walter Smith was held in Scottish football. That he managed to cross the sectarian divide in Glasgow. Not easily done, quite frankly. But do I feel sorry for Ronald Koeman? A little bit, because it doesn't matter if it was him in charge or someone else, and you can, say Ronald Koeman's not the best manager out there, and there are better managers that Barcelona could have had, but with what money? Ronald Koeman had to buy himself out of his own contract with the Dutch FA from the Dutch national side for €5 million. So he's actually got to be reimbursed that money by Barcelona, which they promised to pay him. That was Bartomeu who said, "Yeah, no, we'll pay you the money. We just want you as manager." He paid out of his own pocket to do that. Now, yeah, Ronald Koeman, very wealthy man, obviously, great playing career. He's earned his money, but for someone to buy themselves out of their contract and still be owed that money by their next employer is not a good look, and that is a concern that they may not be able to pay him the full amount of money they owe him. The severance clause is somewhere valued at around 8 million. With the €5 million on top of that, that works out at about 12, 13 million euros in that ballpark figure that he should be getting from Barcelona, but he's still €5 million out of pocket himself. So that just shows how badly mismanaged the whole situation is. 1.3 billion in debt. You couldn't make this up. How can a global brand like Barcelona get in such a state when clubs like Manchester United, yeah, they've suffered some financial losses. They're also a global brand, are in a far better financial position. They've also gone through COVID. They've also had some really bad contracts and overpaid salaries and transfers on their books as well. Chelsea made a profit during the last 2 years. The only one of the 12 European Super League clubs that signed up to this programme that actually released a profit. Liverpool didn't disclose, all the others are in debt. And the heaviest indebted clubs, Tottenham, Barcelona and Real Madrid. They've got some really bad contracts that the players say, well, we deferred our wages, we want to get paid our money. And guess what? The clubs have to honour that. And this is another issue. Look at some of the wages some of the players are on. The club has to honour that. And that only increases the financial strain upon the club. But then you have to look at not just Bartomeu and Laporta, but previous presidents as well. They signed off on all this stuff. They want to revamp the Nou Camp. With what money? Just look at what happened to Valencia, and still going on with Valencia with the Mestalla. They still haven't rebuilt that stadium. The new stadium is unfinished next door to the old one that's crumbling. They have been in financial difficulty for 20 years. 20 years ago, Valencia were at the top of La Liga, challenging for the titles, Copa del Rey and Champions Leagues under Rafa Benitez. Fast forward 2 decades, they're a smaller version of Barcelona. Less debt, yes. Smaller wage bill, yes. But they have been financially hamstrung for 20 years. You could not make this up. Spanish football is a toxic mess. The Spanish FA is divided. The Spanish national team is divided. There's a divided dressing room at Barcelona because ex-players have come out and said it wasn't a happy dressing room at times. And some of the salaries players are on, like Gareth Bale, 600 grand a week. And these clubs are wondering why they've got financial problems. They may be global brands, but there's only so long you can sustain that in the current financial climate that we've had over the last decade or so before things start grinding to a halt. And the Spanish economy is not the strongest economy in Europe. And you are relying on your fans going to games and your club members paying their membership fees. But in reality, the Spanish economy at times in the last decade or so has been very badly hit with the global recession that happened because of the banking crisis and was hit hard. So that also has to bear into the fact that Barcelona and Real Madrid have massively overspent. It was like football was printing money that didn't exist, and it's come home to roost. Now, I have always stated that the money bubble will eventually burst. It was just exacerbated and sped up by COVID. COVID notwithstanding, I do believe down the track Barcelona would have still been in this position, maybe in 5 years' time, 4 or 5 years' time. It just got sped up because of COVID. COVID really exposed a lot of badly run clubs. A lot of badly run clubs. But the writing was on the wall before COVID. The Neymar transfer, trying to take games to the US, suddenly having sponsors on their jerseys, which they never had before. Before their partnership with UNICEF, Barcelona was one of the few clubs in professional European football not to have a shirt title sponsor. Then they did a partnership with UNICEF, and that was great. That's a charity. And then suddenly, sponsorship appears on the jersey, something that the club presidents always stated they would never do. And that's about, I would say, 8-9 years ago, something like that, which shows that the financial problems at Barcelona are more deep-rooted and long-standing than just the COVID period exposing it. They've clearly been in financial difficulty for some time, and they've just managed to keep going because of brand Messi and Xavi and Iniesta and David Villa, Suarez. They managed to sell all this merchandise, but then when you're selling Suarez on for €4 million, considering how much they spent for him, yeah, he brought them a lot of success, scored a lot of goals, but they made a loss there from paying Liverpool the money to selling him on to Atletico Madrid. That is a complete and utter joke of a transfer policy. Selling Neymar, who was going to be the future Messi, the next guy they're going to build the club around. Yeah, they sold him for £250 million. And with add-ons and bonuses, that equivalates to near enough 400 million in total. With all the clauses that are attached to success and trophies won and goals scored and appearance, there are always these clauses in transfers. Where's that money gone? They sold a future, and then they never really replaced Messi. They actually sold Messi's replacement. That is ridiculous. And now some of these young players coming in are playing. Yeah, they're getting game time. They're playing too many games, so they're exhausted. The core of their team, if you take PK out of that defence, there isn't one. And PK as a defender has his moments of, what are you doing? So he was meant to be the next Carlos Puyol. Puyol could defend. PK can't. PK really, skillful player, but defensively, without a strong centre-back partner next to him, he is not a good defender. There's a reason why Man United let him go. All those years ago to Alex Ferguson. He was seen as arrogant, not a team player, too much of an ego, and obviously Barcelona full of egos, full of arrogance, and when they're winning it looks good. But defensively, look at PK in the Euros this summer, absolutely woeful. I don't think PK actually played, but World Cup like a few years ago in Brazil, Jesus, that 5-1 against Holland, a really average Dutch side, by the way, put 5 past them. So, I don't know what PK's on, but he's on a big salary. The players want to get paid their salaries, and the club can't really afford to do anything. And now they've just sacked the manager, and they have to pay him $8 million. Plus, they've got to owe him another $5 million. Where does this end? Where does it end? And is Xavi the saviour, the prodigal son? I don't think so. because somehow he's got to get these young players confident again, because their confidence is shot. Because guess what? Barcelona don't like losing games. They're not used to losing. And that's another thing. They've got to face adversity. And a lot of these players have never faced adversity before because they win all the time. So they don't know how to lose. And sometimes the best lessons come from a defeat. They've got too used to winning and getting their own way. And they're not getting their own way anymore. It's reality. Some of these clubs have not lived in reality for a very, very long time. And some of these players haven't lived in reality for a very, very long time. And now it's coming home to roost. So, yeah. Koeman's out, but whoever comes in, Xavi or another manager, have fun. They're going to have to rebuild this squad with youth talent and free transfers. They have no. I mean, all their transfers in the summer were free transfers. They have no money. They're going to have to start selling some talent to try and recoup some of them losses, and they're going to have to start having serious discussions with players about reducing their salaries on their next contract negotiations. And I'm not sure the players are going to be happy with that. They want to get paid. And by rights, under contractual law, yeah, they have to. They have to agree to a salary cut, and I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, Koeman's gone. It's a mess. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below. And I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.